Phone up here, don't matter. It started.
Oh, shit.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Other Dimension. Today we are doing a podcast, our first podcast. It's going to be more about conspiracy theories. And for the first episode, we have the incident in Roswell, New Mexico. And in Roswell, New Mexico, in June 14th, 1947, on Foster Ranch, there was a guy named William Brazel, and about 30 miles north of Roswell, he collected some materials, and about 2 days later, he took them to a sheriff, and gave them to him, told him about how he found these crashed. It said there was a flying saucer, stuff like that, and the sheriff went and told the local Air Force Base, which is just near Roswell, and the military officials then went to Brazel's house and collected the evidence and told him to keep quiet about it. And the first statement that the military put out, they said that it was a possible flying saucer. And so a ton of different media outlets, newspapers, all posted about this flying saucer in Roswell, Air Force Base, blah, 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 all that crap. And so less than 24 hours later, they had then put out a press release, made all the newspapers re-put out a newspaper, and said that it was nothing more than just a weather balloon crash. And they took pictures and stuff of it, and does not look anything like a flying saucer. And in 1994, the Air Force then admitted that it was a secret U.S. spy balloon used in Project Mogul to spy and monitor Soviet Union nuclear tests by detecting sound waves in the atmosphere. And so they basically said, yeah, there's a cover-up, but it wasn't for aliens. It was for this spy equipment that we were looking at Soviet Union with. A lot of the witnesses claimed that there were aliens that were seen, but the Air Force Base went and said that was crash dummies from when they were doing crash dummies from how people would fall from whatever.
Parachuting.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was supposedly done in 1950. 3 years or so after the Roswell incident happened.
Yeah.
And so those are the facts.
Those are the facts. I think there's some shady shit going on here. Yeah. I think, like you just said, the bodies being crash dummies from 1950, but the crash didn't happen, or happened 3 years earlier at 1947. That's odd. I don't know why. It was early 1950s, so it could be 1952, so it could be a lot longer than that. I think it's odd that they officially switched up their original statement as well.
In less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
Quick.
Snap. Yeah. Quick.
We got a spaceship here, man. We got to go tell them it's not a spaceship.
Yeah.
They also some reports of what the materials that they found. Some witnesses said that it was unbendable, undentable. They took sledgehammers to it, couldn't break it. And one of the intelligence officers that was on the Air Force Base claimed that it was nothing from this Earth, otherworldly. Which is obviously you would know if it's a metal that they had. And this was 1947. They don't even have the technology that we have today. Like today, it could be like Elon Musk's new Cybertruck metal. Yeah. You know, they could just blame it on that. But that was way back in 1947.
Yeah, 1947, they didn't have anything close to what we have. Nothing compelling to make us believe that it was on Earth.
Yeah. Also, the rancher that had found the crash and the evidence that was there, days later, weeks later, or however, people in the town of Roswell or wherever, like maybe a couple miles out of Roswell, saw him in a brand new pickup truck, and he also took back all of his statements from the from his UFO statements, took them all back, and then he quit his ranching job. He quit ranching in Roswell and moved.
Yeah. You don't just quit ranching.
Yeah, like
that's a life commitment. It's like being a farmer. You're
unless you retire, you're not just gonna up and
unless you're like
and quit
85, and you're like, oh, time to retire.
That's a little. I would say like 65, 70 is when you quit like farming, ranching. Yeah, because that's a lot of work. Yeah, with physical work.
But if you were 85, you probably should retire.
Yeah, definitely.
I would.
I'd retire way before that. We're getting sidetracked. Yeah. Anyways, this was definitely not a weather balloon. The materials that were in the picture look nothing like it could be mistaken for a flying saucer. Those materials, there is no way, like a 5-year-old child could literally tell the difference between sticks, tinfoil, and rubber, between unearthly metals.
The photo, which we should probably...
Yeah, it'll be like right here or something.
It looks like something I could build in a 5th grade project.
Exactly. That's literally the stuff that we built in elementary.
And if it was a weather balloon crash, the stuff that we built would have burned up.
Right.
So the material obviously survived. And if it's metal, I can understand that survives fire. But weather balloon, I feel like that would flame up.
Like sticks, tinfoil.
Yeah. The stuff that they described was at the scene.
Yeah.
Would have burned up in a crash.
Yeah. And like years later, like not recent, but like in the 1990s or something like that, they went back, like archaeologists went back and like dug up, tried to find evidence, and they admitted there was a crash there. How would a crash from a weather balloon leave that much significant damage to where you could still tell that there was a crash 20, 30 years later?
Yeah, aren't weather balloons... They're light.
They're a balloon, man.
Yeah, they're light in weight, aren't they? They're not that heavy.
They got to be able to fly in the atmosphere and stuff. They're not too heavy, not enough to leave like that much of a damage, I would think. Like a flying saucer would definitely leave way more damage than
a flying saucer coming in from above the atmosphere just would definitely leave a mark.
Yeah. And plus, if this rancher, he first thought that it was like an airplane crash or something, he went over there, you would not think a weather balloon was an airplane crash.
No, you would be able to tell.
Yeah, you wouldn't probably even hear or really see that much of a weather... You'd probably see it, but you wouldn't think that a weather balloon crash would be like an airplane crash.
Yep.
Completely different in like the size. Obviously the balloons were like probably the size of like how a flying saucer would be. But like the part that would have actually like crashed down would not have been as big as like a flying saucer.
Yeah.
You wouldn't go over there seeing a weather balloon crash thinking it's an airplane crash.
Yeah. Definitely just odd stories kind of not mixing up.
Odd circumstances.
Mixing up weather balloon for an actual airplane, whatever, you know. There were also witnesses. Like, how many other? Like, 600 witnesses.
Yeah, something like that.
And they kind of had different stories, but they were all very similar in nature, which is...
Had a lot of key details about, like, little men about 3 to 4 feet tall with only holes for nose, huge eyes, big heads that unproportionate to their bodies. Like, you wouldn't see that out of a fucking weather balloon.
No. And you have that big of a pool of people who are giving their eyewitness testimonies, and they all kind of match up. I would believe that. Yeah.
So many people describing, like, similar things. They wouldn't all come together and be like, hey, let's go tell these Air Force officials that, like, we saw aliens.
Let's lie to military
all
personnel.
600 of them. 500, 600, how many of them?
Yeah.
They would, first of all, even if they did that, they wouldn't have all had the same story by the time they went to the Air Force official.
Yeah, someone definitely would have probably switched up. To control 600 people in that nature to all tell similar stories.
They had to have seen the same thing, yeah.
Yeah. And, one, how quickly they just dismissed it as a weather balloon, that's kind of odd. I mean, if it was a UFO, I would if I was a military personnel and it was a UFO, I would definitely not want it to get out to the public. I would definitely tell the person to be quiet. I would definitely pay the person a shit ton of money to not
Just
talk.
like they did with that rancher, supposedly. He bought a new truck, moved, quit his job.
Well, yeah.
I don't know about quit his job, but, you know, like
well, he stopped being a rancher. Yeah. And I find it hard to believe that maybe a possible thing is that's all coincidental, and he had the plan of stopping being a rancher. It just happened to be that. But I don't find that to be the case at all, because did they ever give an age for him?
I don't think so. But he was probably 50, a little older than that.
So he had
probably
a good 15, 20 years left.
Yeah.
So there's no way
he could have still kept going.
Yeah, there's no way he just stops. You don't stop especially if you're making good money, as ranchers do.
Yeah.
You don't just stop that.
Yeah.
You do if you get paid a shit ton of money by the government, though.
Yeah. One thing is, like, I could see them covering it up if it was a flying saucer. You wouldn't want, like, you would want to keep that and do research for yourself. U.S. military would want to do research. How is this flying? How is this working? Maybe we can get it and put it in our military to beat whoever. You wouldn't want to put it out to the public and danger, like, other countries, like, trying to get that material to do their own research on it.
Yeah. That's very compelling.
Yeah.
I would say. A lot of this shit. There's a lot of UFO theories out there that I'm like, come on. But there's too many just
witnesses. There's so many witnesses.
Too many witnesses on this one. Most of the UFO sightings, just like one or two people who saw it.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I was abducted by aliens, man. Yeah, those are a little bit of a stretch. I don't know about all of them, but this one, there's.
You've got 500 to 600 people all telling very similar characteristics of what they saw. Yeah,
and government officials, Air Force, military officials, stating that the metal and the objects of the crash that they found were unearthly. One of the officers did say something about, like, how the material, once you had it in hand, you could crumple it up, but then after you let go, after like 2 or 3 seconds, it returned to its normal shape. We don't have anything like that.
Nope.
Unearthly.
That. I'm trying to think of anything we have that's like that. I mean, like, foam does that, but that's not metal. Foam is different than metal.
There's like gallium or whatever.
What we're describing is like if you were to take foam and squish it and then let go of it, it would return to it. But it's metal. Yeah.
There's like gallium or whatever, like all over TikTok and YouTube, like a year or two ago. It was like once you like have it in your hand, it's like it's like liquid, and like once you like let go of it or whatever, it's a solid metal. Cause like the temperature of like it turning into a liquid was like would affect it by how hot your hand was.
This is something you can buy.
Yeah, I think so. Let's look it up.
Heck yeah, we need to get some of that. Sounds dope as hell.
Playing with gallium on the podcast. Gallium is a chemical. Elemental gallium is a soft silvery metal at standard temperature and pressure. However, it is in liquid state, it becomes silvery white. If too much force is applied, the gallium may fracture. Whatever. It's you can definitely buy it. Look, shopping. Second tag. Look at this. There's $24 for 20 grams of gallium. There's like a ton of on eBay and shit. So much, but like there's that, but that's just because like the metal is so like vulnerable to the temperature that it changes like that. But like a metal that you would be able to crumple with your hand and let go and expand like that and survive a crash like that, it just wouldn't happen. Impossible.
No.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. You kind of took the words out of my mouth. I didn't know what to say there. I was like, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Incredible.
It's just... I don't know what to say. I can't think of... I have a word in my mind, but I can't think of it.
Just say it, man.
I don't know what it
Just
is.
say it, man.
I don't know what it is. I can't think of it.
Why? Why is that? Why can we just forget things so fucking easily, man?
Yeah. Like, walk through a door. That's weird. Like, when you walk through,
you forget what you're doing immediately. You go and grab a bottle of water. Why the fuck am I in the kitchen now?
Yeah, you get up, you go to the kitchen, you're like, what the am I doing in the kitchen?
Yeah.
I was just watching Netflix. Now I'm in the kitchen. Why?
Yeah.
It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weird shit.
Which we will cover in other podcasts.
Yeah.
If you'd like to see any other conspiracy theories that we cover, put them in the comments.
It's going to be dope.
Yeah. It's not over yet. Don't leave yet. It's only been 15 minutes. It's not a podcast. 15 minutes is a YouTube video. This ain't a YouTube video. This is a motherfucking podcast.
Yeah. All right. I had something else.
I think I covered all my points.
You said all my points. That's pretty much the facts of the case. So, do you think? What do you think happened? What do you think actually happened
At Roswell? I think
Roswell.
I think there was probably some type of unidentified flying object that crashed there. Metals from out of this world.
Yeah.
And the government took it. Didn't want other people to know about it, obviously. Didn't want the general public freaking out and stuff like that. And other countries possibly coming in trying to take it or whatever. I think that they put out that story, the flying saucer, whatever, and then realized, hey, maybe we should like find out how this works and use it. Let's make up a weather balloon story. Let's take pictures of this other weather balloon, which they also mentioned. One of the Air Force officials or some military official did say that the materials that were used in that picture were not from the crash site. They were from an actual weather balloon, and he stated that they were not from the crash site. I think that they took this, they went out, put this post out about, hey, this is just a weather balloon. There ain't nothing going on here. We're just a crash. You guys are crazy. You know? I think that they obviously told this rancher, paid him, took all the evidence and stuff. What's this?
I just looked up when Russia first tested their nuclear weapons. And according to the government, in 1947 is when this whole thing...
The whole incident happened.
So in 1947, they come out and they're like, oh, it's a weather balloon, all right? In 1997, they retract that statement and they said it was this Project Mogul. It was this Project Mogul where they were spying on Russia because we were...
Soviet Union, yeah.
We were Soviet Union. We were starting the Cold
Same
War.
thing.
Yeah, we were
Something
starting the
over
Cold
there.
War with them. This was like at the very beginning. We were trying to figure out what was it? We were detecting their radioactive.
Yeah, they were like seeing. They were trying to spy on them and basically see what kind of nuclear activity they were doing and testing in the Soviet Union.
Yeah,
to prepare for the Cold War. Right, that was the war that was going on then. I think.
Yeah, Cold War. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're keeping tabs on them. We're making sure they're not doing anything nuclear and shit. We are, so they say, we're supposedly aware that they are doing nuclear tests in 1947. Russia did not do their first nuclear test until August of 1949.
That's like at the end. That's almost 1950.
Yeah, that's 2 years after.
Yeah.
So they're telling us in 1947, Russia's doing nuclear tests when they weren't. They weren't doing nuclear tests until the beginning of the 1950s.
Maybe they were just trying to see if they were.
That's possible. But I feel like...
But I don't know if they'd spend all that money to create a weather balloon to fly over there just to see, you know?
I feel like there's a lot more... When you're a world leader, I bet you're in the know of a lot more, that you don't need to send a fucking balloon over there to see what's going on.
Yeah.
I feel like you would...
You would know if they are doing tests or not. So if they knew, I feel like they would know if they were or not. So I feel like if they knew, my process of this is like, my thinking is like, they sent this weather balloon to see like how powerful their nukes were, is my understanding of this.
Yeah.
To like try to gauge where they're at in this war. But if they didn't even start doing testing until almost 1950, like, why send a weather balloon over there to get no information?
Yeah, it would be like, me not knowing Japan was playing soccer, not even having any idea that they were playing soccer. And I'd be like, hey, I want to go see if they're playing soccer. Actually,
yeah.
no.
I don't know. I don't know how
that was a terrible
good that analogy was.
That was a terrible fucking analogy. In my mind, it was the smartest fucking thing I've ever thought of. But when it came out, it was dog shit.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
All
Especially with me.
So back to my point is like, so I think they took this rancher, they bribed him, they took his stuff. There was evidence of him being bought out of his information because he retracted all of his statements, moved, bought a new car, and whatever, or truck or whatever, left. Like, it's clear that they bought him out for whatever information, even if it was just to buy him out from Project Mogul, like to see just so like the Soviet Union wouldn't know that we were trying to spy on him. Even if it was just for that, like, they still bought him out. It's still shady and stuff like that.
Yep.
And so I think they definitely found a flying saucer there.
I think for sure they found something that the government did not want us to see. Whether
100%.
Whether or not it's we can classify it as a UFO because unidentified flying object. Right. Unidentified flying object does not always mean
flying saucer aliens.
Like something, yeah. It's just something you cannot identify that is a flying object.
Yeah.
I think for sure there was a flying object that something happened to that made it crash that they did not want us to see. I think there is I don't want to say 100% I'm convinced on the aliens. However,
yeah, me too.
However, with the witnesses and stuff like that, it's
pretty compelling. When 600 people tell you like this happened, you're probably gonna believe it.
Yeah, and I didn't really read anything about there was like a specific number of alien bodies or bodies, but they're being 4 feet. If they're crash dummies, why would you make it 4 feet? That's not the average size.
Yeah, that's not an accurate test.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a test for babies. You're dropping toddlers from the sky?
Maybe that's what they want to do. Maybe that's it. They're trying to kill
That's
babies.
their plan. Yep. New abortion technique.
Let's go. We just fucking figured it out.
But, like, for real, if they were the crash dummies that all those witnesses saw, why would the crash dummies be 2 foot shorter than the average human?
Yeah, 4 feet. Yeah, it would be
3 to 4 foot tall is not a good test.
That would not be an accurate test for whatever they were trying to figure out,
right.
Which was something to do with parachuting.
Right.
But it wouldn't get an accurate read on whatever it was.
Yeah, it would just be bad testing. That'd be testing it for a child, which I doubt they were doing that.
Yeah. So, 4 feet, and how they described it, they had like small slits at the mouth.
No nose, only holes for nose.
No nose, yeah. They described what we today view an alien.
Yeah, the grays.
Yeah.
The classic alien look.
Yeah.
The big heads, big eyes, skinny bodies, short.
Yeah.
Why the hell would they make test dummies like that?
It's odd.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Plus, if they were crash dummies are made up of mostly plastic.
Yeah, like plastic.
If this is for sure a crash.
Maybe some like rubber for the skin or whatever.
And the government's still saying that these bodies weren't associated with the crash, which doesn't make sense. Because why would there be a crash and then also a parachute test in the same location?
Yeah.
Like, they're saying that these are two separate incidences. Why are they happening
years apart?
Yeah. 3, 4, 5 years apart. It doesn't really matter. They're just years apart. But why would they happen in the exact same location? So there's that. Plus, crash dummies, I believe, are made out of, like, rubber plastic material, which I believe, if it was in a fire, would have burned up.
Yeah.
But human flesh in certain, I guess I should say human flesh, because it's aliens.
Yeah. Not our flesh.
We don't know what the fuck alien skin's like. Maybe it doesn't burn at all. Maybe that's why it's still there.
Could have been.
There's definitely some shit in there that they did not want us to see.
Yeah. Oh, the someone in military enforcement, something like that, also said that the reason that they think people are just getting events confused with, like, the testing of the crash dummies,
the time compression thing.
Right.
Yeah.
They say that the witnesses are just getting the confusion of the Roswell famous crash with the test dummy thing, and they were just thinking of the wrong thing. Yeah. But you wouldn't do that. No matter, like, even like a decade later, you're not gonna forget seeing aliens. You're not gonna mistake that with something else that happened 5 years after that, 3 to 5 years after that experience.
Yeah, and especially, even if you didn't think they were aliens, you would probably think they were dead bodies. That would be a pretty traumatic experience.
Right.
I would fucking remember every detail of that.
Yeah. People in, like,
sure.
crashes and, like, murder scenes and stuff, they're PTSD. They remember that shit forever. It haunts them.
I would, especially if it was aliens, I'd be like, holy fucking shit. It was a goddamn alien. Did you fucking see that?
You're not gonna forget that. I saw that. It was like 4 foot tall, huge ass head.
A motherfucking alien.
Yeah. I didn't know crash dummy.
Hell no.
That happened in 1947, man. We got to remember this.
Yeah.
Decades later, you're gonna remember that. There's no way you're not.
Maybe you don't remember it. No, I fucking remember it, Mr. Officer Man. I know what I fucking saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get confused. I get, like, a lot of the different officials say completely different things.
Yeah.
Like, some say, oh, these guys are just dumb. They're just getting things confused. And it was just a weather balloon. People are just believing what they want to believe, you know. People really want to see aliens. We want to know aliens. Well, I do too. I'm sure you do too. Like, that's a lot of government officials say that and have come out and said that. But there's also ones that are like, hey, this had no engines. This had, like, no real obvious sort of it flying. I gotta know that. I gotta know how that's done. Like, and then there's ones that one officer was like, this is out of this world. This metal. This is unbreakable. Sledgehammer couldn't break it. No bending, scratching. This stuff, crazy. Not from this planet.
And the photos that we were talking about earlier of, like, the it's the officer and he's bending down and he's looking at all the evidence and stuff. It's black and white, so it's kind of hard to tell, but I don't see any metal in that.
Yeah, just tinfoil.
Wait, we already talked about that.
We did a little bit, but, like, keep talking. Keep going with your point.
That was my point.
Oh, well, like, if you're not going to stake a crash, all those materials looked nothing like a spaceship, bro.
No, yeah.
You're not going to think that's a spaceship.
And I had this point earlier, but we got sidetracked. Back to the photo thing. I'm assuming there's a little bit more off the camera that we can't see, but I can't imagine. That room looks kind of small. I imagine, from what they said, I'm pretty sure they said all the evidence was in that picture. Yeah. That's a small... it
was like a pile like this much of evidence.
It could fit in this area that you're seeing right here. All the evidence could fit right there. If it was a fucking crash...
An airship?
Yeah, there would be a lot more than that.
Yeah. It wouldn't fit in that room.
No. And it could fit in that room. Who knows how the size of the actual spacecraft. But There was like 3, 4, 5 pieces. It would have been
a lot more evidence
like 50
than that.
pieces.
Right. Like that was just bad on their part. Like we already know that was fake. That material was not what was from the crash.
Why are you faking the photo?
That is just a bad fake, man. Like,
if there's nothing for us to think of, or not think of, if there's nothing for us to be concerned about, why fake a photo?
Yeah.
What's the point?
If there's not aliens, why not put the actual evidence in?
Only reason I'm faking a photo is to hide something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which supposedly they were hiding the Project Mogul or whatever, but I feel like if you put the debris and crash stuff of Project Mogul, the Soviet Union aren't gonna look at the papers and be like, "They're spying on us with this."
These motherfuckers are spying on. You see that?
Yeah.
That's a motherfucking spying technique right there.
There's no way they would like, even if it was just cover up for Project Mogul, not for aliens or whatever.
Yeah.
Why not put that in the picture instead of putting a second grader's project in there?
Yeah. Someone's kid definitely made that.
100%.
They were like, "Hey Tommy, you wanna be a part of something big, something governmental? I want you to make me sticks and paper."
Tinfoil. Do that for me, Tommy.
Can you do that, Tommy boy?
I'll give you $1,000. You can buy yourself a new car. You can move at it. You can move at it.
Ah, fuck. I had something else. There's a piece. The officer. So, this Roswell guy, or Roswell.
Yeah.
The rancher that first
it.
reported
Right.
it. Reported it to the sheriff, who reported it to this officer that I'm talking about. That officer, after going to the crash site and looking at the shit, went straight to President Truman's office.
Yeah, like he was flown in to look at this evidence, some officer was, and right from that he was straight flown to Washington, D.C.
to tell him about what he found.
Yeah.
You
ain't gonna do that out of a weather balloon? Yeah.
You ain't doing that for a weather balloon.
You're not gonna take an express flight to the president and bother him with his busy time to say there was a weather balloon.
Yeah, Truman's still grieving over the fact that he just nuked the shit out of Japan.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about some damn weather balloon.
Exactly. You're not gonna fly all the way there just to tell him.
You know what he is gonna care about?
It's a weather balloon.
They fucking found out. They found out about our aliens.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
That would be something he would fly all the way from New Mexico to Washington to see about. That's what they would tell him about.
Yeah.
There's no other reason why they would go over to the president.
No.
Other than to be like, hey, our Project Mogul thing, this shit crashed. It's not working, man.
Yeah, there's pretty big stuff that happened in a national, like, daily that the president isn't involved in because it's not worth his time. But it's still big. It's big news to us. Yeah. He's not going to care about some damn weather balloon.
Exactly. That's not something you bother the president with.
Yeah.
Not even the vice president. No. You mail him a letter, be like, hey, weather balloon didn't work. Can't spy on the Soviet Union. Sucks. Yeah. He reads it. Okay. They probably weren't doing nuclear things anyways. We're fine.
Yeah, the highest point of authority that would probably be contacted for a weather balloon is...
like Secretary of Defense or something like that. Because
maybe that. But, like, a sheriff who then tells a Air Force officer. That's where the chain of command stops. And an Air Force officer in the military is very low on the chain, actually. Like,
yeah, there's so many levels.
Yeah. Incredible. So if it's stopping at an Air Force officer on a actual weather balloon incident, because weather balloon incidents do happen, weather balloons do crash.
Yeah.
And you don't go to the fucking president for that. That's our point.
Exactly. Like, I think that same officer was the one that, not a long time later, had just started, what is it? Like a UFO investigation, like, I don't know what it's called. Some type of group or separate, like, investigation on UFOs or unidentified flying objects.
Yeah.
Why would you start that over just a weather balloon? If it was just their Project Mogul that had crashed, they're not going to start a UFO investigation team or whatever it was about this. What would be the point?
Oh yeah, for sure. There would be no point for that.
They're not going to be like, oh, people thought this was a flying saucer. We better like start a whole command chain about this crap.
Also, I find it odd that if it was a weather balloon crash, the officer that the sheriff reported to told another worker in the Air Force, I don't know what he was like a special agent, something like that, told him to collect all the crash site and stuff, all the materials in the crash site, and then they told the Roswell guy to keep quiet about it.
I just got information saying that the dude that we're talking about who flew to Washington D.C. 2 people actually wrote a book about him and interviewed him in the book. We might have to get that book. We might have to get that book. Stay tuned in episode 2 of Roswell,
where we read books.
Knowledge.
Yeah. I'm not reading a book.
Yeah, books are stupid.
Books are fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Last time I read a book was sophomore year.
Yeah, last time I read a book was like junior high, man. I didn't study at all.
I still don't study.
Yeah, I don't know when the last time I did homework was.
Yeah, it's not good out here. Yeah, there's just too many odd shit. Also, the fucking files were destroyed.
What files?
Oh, yeah, I didn't share that with you, did I?
Well, share it with me now.
So when you went to grab popcorn,
right?
They were talking about the files were destroyed.
Oh.
They fucking burnt the files.
Why would you do that for Project Mogul or just a weather balloon?
Yeah.
No sense.
They burnt the files because they were like, oh shit, people are getting way too close. If they fucking find these files. No, what happens is it recently happened with the JFK assassination. So, like, in government, I don't know what the correct term is. I could be off about this, but I know some knowledge about it. There's, like, confidential cases that are deemed confidential.
Right.
Past, 50 years, something like that, they become unclassified.
Right.
They knew that these files would eventually become unclassified, and they
people would know
burnt
about them. Yeah. Also, there was an interview with President Trump when he was president saying, hey, was Roswell aliens and stuff like that? He was asking him, President, if, like, can you declassify this stuff? Can you, like, tell us about this? And President Trump then replied with something like, I don't know, there's some interesting stuff about there.
Very interesting stuff happened at Roswell.
Yeah. Exactly, something like that. Like, why say that if it's just a weather balloon?
Yeah. Very interesting weather balloon. Probably the best weather balloon I've ever seen. Quite frankly. He says that fucking word a lot.
He does. Frank.
Quite Frank.
Frank Sinatra.
Frank. Good singer, by the way.
Yep. I have not heard a lot of his music.
I haven't either. But from the music that I heard, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I imagine he's a good singer.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
No.
Yeah, I think that there's something definitely happened there in Roswell. There's definitely not just a weather balloon.
Not.
Couldn't have been. I think
maybe
that's
something from another dimension.
Yeah. The other dimension. If you guys like this podcast, go ahead and subscribe, like the video, go ahead and comment down below what conspiracy theory we might do next, and if we choose yours, we might post you right up here on the comments.
That's a good incentive to me.
Yeah,
I
want to be. I want to be on a podcast, even though we got like no viewers, no subscribers.
I want to be on these people's podcasts.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, I'm gonna put a comment.
Exactly. Give us some ideas.
Yeah.
Let us know what we should do, and I hope you guys enjoyed.